Hello, everybody. This is Scott Hudspeth, your host with Agent Mastermind, and I have a dear friend with me who just an awesome person to start with, and she's going to introduce herself and give us a little bit of background of how she's evolved and where she started from, where she's going to, and where she's at right now with us on the class. And I'm just privileged and honored to have Elizabeth Rose. You can see her Twitter handle right there. I would highly recommend following her. She's doing it right. She's growing her social media presence through Twitter in a staggering amount, and I'm just excited to have her here. Elizabeth, how you doing today?
Scott, I'm doing great, and I'm excited to be here too. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It is. Twitter's just fun. I got to be honest though. I'm kind of with Paul. I'm having a hard time with the 140 characters. I want to. I don't know. As everybody knows here, I like to talk, and saying the right things at the right times, or however, and I know that you've already shed some light on this whole Twitter thing with me personally, but I'm glad that you're here to share it with the group.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here too. And I felt just like you. I was intimidated, to say the least, about Twitter, and it wasn't until about 9 months ago, maybe, that a few things happened that got my attention and made me realize I better learn this thing, because I need to be there, and I need to be there and be doing it right. So I put my head down and went to work trying to figure it out, and it's overwhelming initially because of that intimidation factor. It's a number of characters, it's how fast it moves, it's all of those things. It's kind of noisy, and so we're going to try to break that down today and make it a little bit less intimidating, and hopefully make it make more sense.
Well, my first question was, from what you just said, is like, so what? Do you mind if I ask what happened? Because you said something happened where you said I better start paying attention to this monstrous of a silent sleeper Twitter, because obviously it just went public. So there's a lot of things. It's not just Twitter. It's huge. It's a huge deal.
It is huge. Yeah, sure. What happened was I was busy creating content. That's just what I had morphed into over the years, is just somebody that just cranked out content. I love sharing what I know and helping educate people. And I'd been writing a blog for years, and I felt like I was sort of in that dark hole where you're writing a blog but nobody really reads it.
Yeah.
And I was still out on the road teaching and doing a lot of things, and when I came off the road and got really focused on my local community and being present here, started writing more, but nothing was happening. And then all of a sudden, and I was focused on Facebook. Facebook was where it was at. Everybody was talking about it. Business pages were becoming the new thing. So I was so busy trying to maximize what I was doing on Facebook to make it work. So I wasn't paying attention to Twitter. The only thing that I had done is I had connected my Facebook to my Twitter account, so whatever I did on Facebook happened on Twitter. And then all of a sudden one day I noticed in my email box, because like I said, I was not looking at Twitter, so I was relying on email notifications. One day I realized that somebody had republished or retweeted my content.
Okay.
And then the next thing that happened was just a couple of days later, that same group put it in their little daily newspaper.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I've been like trying to make something happen on Facebook and nothing is happening, and I've ignored Twitter and it's working without me touching it. So what if I started paying attention to it? What would happen then? And what was interesting is from those first couple of things, and that group kept taking my content and repurposing it and sharing it, but then a couple other outfits did. And then I noticed that I started having some new followers, like e-zine articles, and so that got my attention. So that's when I realized I have to do something with this. I would be a fool if I just ignored it. So.
Yeah. That's no, you know what, and I haven't had the same experience because I'm not a big content, I'm more video type thing, but I think that having this thing blow up is, just communicating with you and sharing cool stuff, I think has kind of enlightened my eyes over the last couple of weeks of you and I just going back and forth. So I'm excited. So let's get started. What do you got for us?
Well, first of all, I've got this. You'll see on this first slide down at the bottom in the right-hand corner, I've got a hashtag. That little pound sign or tic-tac-toe sign is a hashtag. So if you do the hashtag Tweet Elizabeth in Twitter, that's like a little chat that we'll have. So whether it's during the call or after the call, people can tweet Elizabeth. It'll go into sort of like a group, and you can ask questions, and I'll come back in there and answer questions. So,
Okay,
but
just brilliant. All right, that's cool.
so and be sure to come follow me. I encourage everybody to copy people that are doing things right, because that's what I'm doing. I'm mimicking a lot of people out there, and I'm mimicking people that are not just in my industry. You know, I'm scattered all over the map. I'm looking at people who are attracting people, and I'm watching what they do and how they do it. Whether they're a singer-songwriter, a social media guru, a thought leader, if they're in the financial markets, I'm following a lot of news outfits like Fox and CNBC and some of my favorite people there. So I'm watching what they do and seeing how they do it and just really trying to copy them. And that's how I've learned a lot of this. So
Absolutely.
Let me just dive into it if you guys are ready.
No, please do, yeah. I just started the group chat, so we're good to go there.
Okay, and I just, why is my clicker's not working? So.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
Hang on. I had clicked over to the wrong screen. Here we go. So with Twitter, very much like Facebook, there's a lot of Twitterisms, a lot of words that may be new to you today. Twitterverse is one of them. It's basically the universe, the Twitter universe. And I was pulling up some statistics recently because, you know, they're constantly changing. So what we're looking at here is pretty darn fresh. Twitter claims now that they have about 1 billion users. So I don't know exactly how many that is. They're just saying about 1 billion. And that's up from like 500 million, which was not so long ago. So they're really growing rapidly. There's 100 million daily active users. So that's people that are truly using this. They're logging in every day. And then over 500 million tweets on every day on average. So ton of activity.
Tons.
460 new accounts per day. So hopefully if everybody that's on this call, if they're not on Twitter, they go sign up today, you know, they're going to be adding to that number.
There you go.
And then tons of unique visitors. So that's, you know, that's not me logging in, you know, 100 times a day, but me logging in once and 36 million other people logging in once. And this next thing, the 60% of users that are using it on mobile, I will tell you that I have all my social media apps on my phone. And I have a smartphone.
Yep.
My favorite apps are Instagram and Twitter on my mobile because they are so easy to use. Unlike Facebook, which to me when I log in on my phone from Facebook, it's like I just can't, I mean I can navigate well, but you know I just don't see a whole lot and I got to do a lot of moving around. And Google Plus I think is the same way, but I love Twitter on my phone. It's like having a text message with your friends. It's so easy.
Mobiledrug.com, right?
Right, and you know, mobile is the way that everything's going, and so to just be able to not only use it, but be able to interact in a real easy fashion from your mobile is just, that makes it easier to implement, I think.
Sure.
And certainly that tells you that if 60% of people are using it on their mobile, we're not always in front of our computer, but
Right.
we've always got our mobile in our hand.
Absolutely.
I saw somebody post something recently, and you've probably seen this too, but they said, what is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Yeah.
You know, and everybody was commenting, everybody's like, they grab their phone.
Yes, yes.
So we know that everybody has that in their hands. So, and then the other thing is tweets. Those are peeps. Those are people. So tweets, spend an average of 170 minutes a month on Twitter. Now, I don't think that's nearly as large as Facebook, but once again, Twitter is a fast pace. And then the other thing that I think is really awesome about Twitter, this to me is probably one of the best things, is that the people that are on there, they're highly educated and they're searching for information. They're not on there to play games. They're not on there to joke around and goof off. They are on there a little bit from an entertainment factor, but it's entertainment in the way that you and I would want it to be, because they are engaging, and they're engaging with people, they're engaging with brands, and they're actually looking for people to connect with.
Right.
So I think it's a totally different animal than Facebook, and I love Facebook, but it's just for business purposes. I think Twitter is just, I don't know, I love it. And it's so funny because for the longest time, like I said, I was so intimidated, and now I'm like, if somebody came out with a T-shirt that said "I love Twitter," I would be wearing it. So I'm crazy about it.
That's cool. So would you say, I mean, because here's what excites me the most, and here's the mindset that I want everybody to take that's on this call right now. When Elizabeth or anybody else talks about Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth, but the mindset needs to be is connect, engage, and interact with your past clients, current clients, new clients that you don't even know yet because you're going to get referrals, and build a deep relationship. And I've always said this, and I'll keep saying it again, it's not about getting more clients. It's about keeping the ones you currently have. And I think this is just one more avenue, because if you look at, there's four parties going on, maybe five, maybe six, but you have a Facebook party, you have a LinkedIn party, you have a Twitter party, you mentioned Instagram party. I mean, so you have these Pinterest party we covered last 2 weeks. Guys, I guarantee you that everyone on this call has clients in every single avenue, and if you're not there, you're not at the party. So that's why we're bringing you Twitter and Pinterest and Facebook and LinkedIn and stuff like that. So just because if you learn how to do this and you get the mindset right and you just literally have fun with it, you will get more business just by having fun.
I totally agree. And I've seen it repeated over and over that relationship is the new currency. So it's not so much about how many leads you get and just putting a bunch of junk out there just to be active. It's about going deep with the people that are connecting with you and to hopefully connect with more people and go deeper. So you're absolutely right. I agree. It's all about relationship.
It is.
So, so many people like me, I think, are saying, I don't get Twitter. And recently Googled that question, and there's like around 2 million people that don't get it. And they're not only do they not get it, they're Googling that they don't get it. So you're not alone if you're feeling that way, and I certainly did. So here's a few things to get a mindset about Google, and let's compare it for a moment to Facebook. And I got a couple of different analogies for you that might resonate with you. One of them is a Starbucks analogy. Think of Facebook as you go into Starbucks, you grab your cup of coffee, and you go sit in the cozy overstuffed chair with a friend, and you chat. And as you do, other people come in and out, and you recognize some of them, and they stop and say hello, and you have a brief conversation. On the other hand, Twitter, you walk into Starbucks, it's a busy morning, you're standing in line, you have your smartphone in your hand, and you text your assistant in the office and say, hey, I'm standing in line at Starbucks, what kind of coffee do you want? And she texts you back the coffee, and you grab it and you go. So it's two different styles,
you're saying,
two different relations.
So you're saying the message, you would actually send that text through Twitter, or you would send it through a text?
No, I'm just saying from a mindset perspective.
I love the mindset whole thing. Yeah.
It's the sitting in a chair having a long conversation versus standing in line, being quick and fast, asking a question, getting the information, and going.
So Twitter's more of a, it's not, when you have 140 characters, it's, I mean, and this is a huge message for me. So it's not a conversation that ends in 140 characters or starts or ends. It's a conversation that starts but may continue for weeks.
Could very well.
Okay. That makes total sense.
Absolutely. So just like when you open up, if I don't know about you, but I have a habit of saving my text messages only because I just don't go delete them. So if I go open a text message from my daughter, I can see this thread that just goes on and on and on forever.
Yep.
And the dialogue changes, obviously, the topic changes, but I can see all of that. And the same can be said with Twitter. You know, you can keep those threads going as long as they go and start new ones.
Very cool.
Twitter is very much about content. That's not to say that somebody or that people don't do quick little messages that are not, you know, a whole paragraph or an entire article or a blog post. People do snippets, but it's still content rich. So you don't see, like I said, you don't see a lot of jokes and goofing off on there. Now you will see people saying things like, you know, something about the weather or being at the beach or a great movie, that sort of thing. But once again, the essence of it is that it is a very content-driven platform. The average shelf life of a tweet is 11 seconds, so that's how fast it's moving. And much like Facebook or any other platform, the average Twitter user has around 250, 275 people in their sphere. So
interesting fact. Okay, that's
yeah.
good.
So even with that number, you're still moving at 11 seconds. So a lesson here, and we'll talk about this more in a minute, but you can repeat yourself, and that's okay because you're not going to drive your friends crazy because that thread is moving so quickly. So if you've got something that's about to happen, for instance, this webinar, I tweeted it out with a little different way of saying it with each of my tweets, but I tweeted it out about 5 times a day from Friday through yesterday. But, you know, obviously it was spaced out over the period of about 14 hours, but that's a message that I could repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat because I'm not going to make people mad. And then once again, like we said, it's 140 characters. So you got to be short and sweet, or it'll connect to, you know, you can do a link to get to the more information.
Got it. And I think just really quick, there's a lot of questions coming in. I think she's going to cover these. So let's go through your presentation, and then we left plenty of time for questions at the end. So we'll make sure and answer all these questions if you guys are cool with that. So instead of breaking up the flow, we'll just kind of go through it, and I'll kind of keep my mouth shut too as well.
Oh, please don't keep your mouth shut. I love the feedback and the questions.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Cool. All right.
That makes it more fun, and I think it makes it more interesting for everybody listening.
No, yeah. I mean, it's yeah. There's just some really good questions that I know you're going to cover about hashtags and about attaching content from your blog. Because I know you're a huge blogger, so I know that we promise to answer all those questions at the end. All right.
All right, cool. And I see a lot of people are tweeting Elizabeth on Twitter too, so those are coming through on my other screen.
Yep. That's awesome.
Fun.
That's awesome. Cool.
Okay, so you know, part of getting Twitter right is starting out right. You know, if you're already on Twitter and you've already got a profile set up, don't worry about it. If it needs tweaking, it can be tweaked. It's not like you've done any damage, because I certainly did not start out right. I did not really know what I was doing, and I went in and, you know, I got it set up, and I threw out some profile, you know, as fast as I could, and didn't do anything strategically initially. But what I want to share with you here is a few things that you can do strategically if you haven't done them already that might make a difference for you.
Okay.
If any of the listeners have not signed up for Twitter, one thing that I would, and they're going to, one thing to give a lot of thought to before you go in and create your user ID and password is you want to do your very best to be consistent across all your platforms. So if you can use a username that is as close to your real name as possible, I highly recommend that. And if you can make it identical to what you've already got on Facebook and any other platform you're on, once again, highly recommend that. Be as consistent as possible as you can be. And then when setting up your profile and that consistency, you want that to carry across everything that you're doing, whether you have a brand image or not. However you've set something up, try to maintain some consistency. You want to use the same picture. If it's not the exact same picture, make sure it's a picture that came from the same setting. So if you went and had, you know, a photo shoot and you had 20 pictures and you picked out 4 that you liked, more than likely you're in the same outfit and you've got the same or similar backgrounds and everything looks fairly consistent. You want to do this because you want people to recognize you. Stay away from pictures of your dog, even if you love your dog. I highly doubt that you're going to take your dog on all your listing appointments, right. And I don't think future clients are going to recognize you if your picture is of your dog. So and try to make it a close-up.
I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I think it should be of you and a professional picture of you and a current picture of you. You know, make sure that when people see you, it's what they see on all your social media sites. I think it's really important.
Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of people I've seen do the team shots, which I understand that and I get it. And I think maybe a team picture would be better served as a background image or like in Facebook, a timeline image. But when you try to reduce a shot of multiple people to a little thumbnail, all you get is you can't see anything. So you want to be branding yourself in front of people, you know, constantly with that same image. On your bio, on Twitter, you have 160 characters of real estate, and it is great real estate. You want to maximize it, and so this is where you're going to be writing out who you are, what you do, and what I would lead with is I would not lead, Scott, if I were you, and I don't know what yours looks like, but I would not lead with, you know, father, you know, fisherman, hunter, whatever, you know, all those things, because people don't search by those things. So you would want to lead with what you do, what you're on Twitter for. Are you on Twitter for real estate, or are you on Twitter to talk to people that are your fishing buddies?
Right.
So lead with, and if you have a niche in real estate, mention that, you know, first-time home buyer expert, a VA specialist or military realtor, you know, whatever it is that you focus on, use that in those 160 characters. And these, I want you to think of them as keywords. You do not have to write them in a sentence. In fact, they're better off if you just put the words up there, and they're basically like bullet points. So you might want to say real estate, San Diego, first-time home buyers, and then put, you know, family man or you know, love, skydiving, you know, whatever it is. Throw those things in there because people will connect with you on those things too, but that's just not the essence of why you're there. That's not your purpose. So be very strategic when you're picking out your bio keywords.
Got it.
And one thing you might want to do, excuse me, is do a little research on Twitter. Go look for people that you know are in your sphere, or maybe not your sphere, in your area, or maybe they're even outside your area, but they're a superstar. You know, some superstar, top-notch realtors that you would love to have a business similar to theirs. Go see what they're doing. See what words they're putting in. Copy them.
Absolutely. I actually went to a guy that I follow. You guys have heard his name, Gary Vee, before, and I went to him and said, okay, what is he doing? Because he's got over 1 million followers, and of course he's built a huge internet presence on Twitter and video marketing and stuff. I'm like, okay, if he's doing it, obviously he's doing it right. And here's the big secret about this, and I know you're going to cover this, but there's a lot of people that just think that, kind of like throwing it up there, throwing up a tweet, and having your Facebook post to Twitter, and then I'm good. And what happens is people respond back to you, they reply to you, they tweet your name, and you don't see it and don't respond. They just go away. So he makes a very conscious decision, whether it's him or somebody else helping him, to interact with every single, I mean, literally, if you tweet him, more than likely he'll tweet you back if there's some substance to it. If it's just, hey, promote my stuff or sell my stuff, they're not going to do it. But he's really big into conversation. He's built his business, a billion-dollar business, out of interacting and engaging with his people and building a deep relationship. So there's a lot of merit to this Twitter thing, and we're going to get to a lot of questions here. There are a lot of great questions coming in, by the way, Elizabeth.
Well, you know what? You're absolutely right, Scott. I'm friends with Gary Vee as well, and I said something to him on Twitter, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and sure enough, he replied right back to me. Yeah. And I've had that experience with a lot of people that I would think are out of my league. They're out of reach of me. And on Twitter, I have just found that people, the whole environment, I guess if you will, of Twitter is based around sharing and caring. I mean, it's just such a nurturing world. And it's kind of surprising, when you jump into it, because obviously I think when most people look at it, certainly when I did, I was like, whoa, this is crazy, noisy, busy. Yeah. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But then once you're in and you actually embrace the culture and get familiar with it and start using it, what you discover is everybody there, or just about everybody there, even those very successful people like the Gary Vees of the world, they embrace you and they support you, and they're just so awesome in coming together as a community. It's right. It's cool.
Absolutely. So let's talk about and this is where it gets tricky, terms of engagement.
Yes.
I know you're an expert on this, so let's talk a little bit about that. I think it's your next slide, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. It's funny. I was putting this together and I was thinking of terms of endearment.
Right.
I'm going to put the title on here. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to engage. So once you've got your bio and everything set up, you've got to just jump in. It's kind of like this whole sink or swim thing. Just jump in and start swimming or start flying. You're birds. So what you want to do is you want to follow people. You want people to follow you. We're going to talk about that. There's tweets, there's retweets, there's replies, there's favorites, there's interactions, mentions, discovers, and direct messages.
Now, if you had to pick, if you're just starting out with Twitter, and you're like, okay, there's all this stuff, follows, tweets, retweets. Which is there one or two that I could say, okay, because I mean it's hard to do all of it. So is there one or two things that would be beneficial for me to grow my Twitter presence? So I mean, here's what I don't want to happen, Elizabeth, is I don't want people to start spending all day every day on Twitter, and I know it won't happen, but what's going to happen is people will start using Twitter, and then they'll lose. Like we'll have another class next week on something else, and they'll go to that, What I think you should do is, Twitter's not going away, obviously, but I think you should time block in your calendar. Okay, I'm going to focus for 5 minutes on Twitter, maybe twice a day, and I'm going to go in, follow, tweet, retweet, replies, interactions, mentions, like maybe. So would you pick one or two things that are most important that you do the most of, or?
Well, at this point, and frankly, you might look at my Twitter feed and think that I am on Twitter all day, and I'm not. I'm, probably 10 minutes in the morning, and then I'll jump back on. If people are commenting or something, I'll jump back on in the middle of the day and respond. 5 minutes, and then I'm on maybe 5 or 10 minutes at night, unless I'm just bored out of my mind, or if I'm actually doing research. I'll do research on Twitter.
Okay.
So as far as a management and working it into your daily life,
That's kind of a whole nother class, right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I see Twitter as being, you know, a 10-minute a day activity, maybe 15.
Okay.
And the thing that you would want to start with is obviously you've got to go start following some people,
Yeah.
because if you don't, then it's going to be lonely.
Correct. Correct.
So,
So, the law of reciprocity kicks in here. It's like I follow you, whether you follow me back or not. You may not get every single person to follow you back, but the majority of people, if you're truly using Twitter, we're going to follow you back if there's interesting content. So what I would personally do, this is just my opinion, maybe you have a different opinion, is start your Twitter account, start tweeting stuff. Whether it's content or just sharing good stuff, start following other people that are actually interested in you, that are doing it right, like Gary Vay. Like, what is he saying? How is he saying it? When does he say it? And then start doing the same things. And then once you have some content on, that going out there, start following other people of interest that you want, past clients, current clients, people of interest. And then I think the engagement will automatically kick in.
it does. It does take being engaged to receive engagement.
Yeah.
Twitter is very much about reciprocity.
Yeah.
So as far as like follow backs, if I go follow Gary Vaynerchuk, for example,
Yeah.
he's probably not going to automatically follow me back. However, as I'm following him, once I start seeing things that I want to share of his, when he sees me sharing his stuff, then he comes and he follows me back. And so, and that, I think that's what you'll see with the most influential people. Now, it's going to be probably very different with people in your local community that are just a regular Joe like me and you.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to follow you back because they like you. They know, like, and trust you.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
So, and I know I'm looking at the clock here. We're got a lot to cover still.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
Okay,
I'm
cool.
going to blow through some of this pretty quick. In tweeting, once again, you've got 140 characters. If you can, make your tweet 120 characters, because this gives room for somebody to retweet it and actually
Good
add
point.
a comment.
Good point. Okay. Because here's the important thing to remember: it's not about completing a complete.
Completing a what?
With how's it going? Boom, retweet or reply. Completing
Scotty.
completing a conversation. It's it's not,
Okay.
Yeah.
We missed what you were trying. You blocked that, blanked out for just a second, and the big part of what you're saying right now, we missed a chunk that would lead us to know what you're talking about. Are you with me, Scotty?
All right. So what I was saying is, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Good now.
I
Yep.
can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right. So what I was saying is that's a very important question, and we talked about this at the beginning. Is when it's not about completing a complete thought or even a conversation. Sometimes it might be, but the shorter the better. And it's better to almost start a conversation with the one-liner, like, "Hey, Elizabeth, how's it going today?" Just in this example, she has room to retweet that or reply and keep that thing going. So that's a great point. And because everybody thinks use up the 140 characters. You say as much as I can, and that's not the actual goal here. The shorter the better, because it's going to intrigue people to figure out what you're actually saying. So great point there.
Absolutely. So, and when you're tweeting, you want to tweet original content that has value. Remember, Twitter is a content-driven platform for people who are seeking information. So you want to make sure what you tweet has value on some level. I would highly recommend, though, do not constantly tweet only about your business. You want to sprinkle it with real life. You want to have quotes. You want to...
That goes down to the 80-20 rule. Talk about the 80-20. What does that mean?
You want to spend 80% of your post with the purpose of engagement, where only 20% is promotional. So, for instance, if I have a listing this weekend and I want to tell the world that we're going to be there Saturday from 2 to 4 and, it's an awesome killer house and, I want, a great turnout, I better be talking about some other stuff too. You can't just keep saying, got this open house, got this open house, got this open house.
Right.
And you also want to say it in different ways as well. Even though I know I said earlier, Tweet Life's only 11 seconds long, still people that are on there frequently will start seeing a pattern. And if you show a pattern of all you're doing is trying to sell, people are going to say, I'm out.
Unfollow. Here's, when the very first slide you brought up, I mean, literally kind of opened a aha moment for me when you said you're going to be answering questions at Tweet Elizabeth, like the hashtag Tweet Elizabeth,
Right.
So me personally, what I'm going to start doing, this is just a fantastic aha moment for me. Every weekend there's something going on somewhere in your town. I can guarantee it. I don't care what it is. There's always something that people are attending or going to or like hanging out at. You know what I'm saying? For example, that maybe there's a comedy club event. Maybe there's a huge run 5K. Maybe there's something going on at a concert or something. Why not start a hashtag? Hey guys, who's all going to the concert tonight? Hashtag whatever it is. Let's start a conversation about it. What we think about it. Who's all going? Hey, any suggestions? Boom. Just like start a conversation going. You might end up with a couple hundred people talking about this concert because there's that many people that want to go about it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I think that's an amazing idea. I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool what you can do with those and how you can generate buzz. And then what's really interesting too is when you go in, and we'll talk about this in a second, but when you do create a hashtag, you want to go first check it out and see if anybody else has already used it.
Yeah. Hey,
You
Mike,
may find that they're using it in a way that's not really appropriate for what you were intending.
Right. Hey, Mike, you shared something with me today. Are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
So you had, I don't know, what did you guys do? Because you guys did something on Twitter where you could check out pictures and all that stuff. You had
we actually used it for Instagram, where we used the hashtag for the party that we were at. So we had everyone that, took pictures that night. They used that hashtag, so we could all go back and search that hashtag and look at all the pictures that everyone took that weekend.
graduations, weddings, birthday parties. I mean, what a cool way to share what's going on so everybody can go back and look. That's an amazing idea. Cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna move through this piece pretty fast because I think we've kind of talked about it, or we've at least skimmed the surface. When you're tweeting, you just want to make sure that what you're tweeting is something that tells your story. Like I said, it's content rich, but we want to tell your story, who you are, what you're about. You're branding yourself, and you want people to get to know you. So if you work for RE/MAX or Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker or whoever you work for, you're not trying to brand them, and you're not even trying to brand being a realtor. You're just trying to brand you because that's what's going to build relationships. So you want to amplify your message. You want to say things that are engaging so people will read it and comment and retweet it. And then ultimately, of course, we all want to have some of these tweets convert to real conversations that come offline, come offline. Am I saying that right? So that we have real conversations with people and we have an opportunity to work with them.
Got it.
So when you're getting ready to craft your tweet, you just ask yourself a couple of questions. Is it interesting? Would people read this? Would they click the link if it's a link to a bigger story? Is it interesting enough that they would retweet it and pass it along? So because you want them to spread your love, so to speak.
Yes.
So there's a couple of ways to retweet. If you see, if someone you are following says something that you want to share with your audience, you go to retweet it. This doesn't work for me on my desktop, but it does work for me on my iPad. There's an option to quote a tweet. So you hit the retweet button, and it'll ask you, do you want to retweet or do you want to quote? If you quote it, then that gives you the opportunity to put your message on in addition to what they've said. If you just retweet, it's only going to send exactly what they said onto your flock. You also can reply to messages, so this turns into more like a conversation thread like you would have on your phone in text messages. And then I really do prefer quoting a tweet because it adds more value. I can actually promote somebody. For instance, yesterday there's a gal that I followed on social media. She put out a blog post. I went and read it because the topic was relevant to something that I was interested in. It was a fabulous article, so I retweeted it saying, great article or something like that, giving her all the credit. And that's the thing, is you always want to make sure you leave that person's @ and their handle in there, because that's giving them credit. Now, there is a trick to doing this a way that can get you better results than what may come just kind of as a natural result of just hitting the retweet. If you hit a retweet, even if you add a quote, your cursor is automatically going to go to the end of the tweet to add your quote or your comment. Don't do that. Go to the front. Put it in front of the @ in front of the @username. Put it in front of that, because now in doing that, the people that you and that other person follow mutually, so the same people that are in both of your audiences, will see that retweet. But if you go a step further, and if you put a period before the @ now everybody that follows you and everybody that follows that other person will see it. So you just got a bigger audience, and you're giving a shout out to that person that you're retweeting, but at the same time you're getting your name in front of her people or his people. So just one of the cool little tricks that you can do to get your name in front of more people. And then there's a lot of etiquette in Twitter. That may surprise you. It certainly surprised me. But it's all about relationship, not just with the people that you're trying to gain as maybe hopeful clients and followers, but also the people you're following, even if they're not in real estate, even if they're not in your state, even if they're in another country. The etiquette there is you always give credit. Always, always, always give credit to the person. So you never take their name out when you're sharing their information. When somebody gives you a retweet, you always go thank them. A lot of times you might even want to go thank people who are favoriting some things that you said. But before you ever ask anybody to retweet your stuff, make sure that you're doing the same. Like I said, it's a very etiquette, an environment that's very in tune with etiquette. And so, people pay attention to your behavior on Twitter. So it's important that you mind your manners. And then speaking about hashtags, Scott, to just piggyback on what you had brought up with Mike a minute ago, you want to use them sparingly. I've seen crazy things, so I got you a little example here. You don't want to use half a dozen of them in a statement. You also don't want to do a very long one.
Okay.
Like you see down here at the bottom, it looks absolutely ridiculous, and I can't even tell what it says at this point.
Right.
But what a hashtag does is it creates a conversation around that word, or it could be a string of words. It could be 3 words like mountain climbing in Arizona or mountain climbing in Phoenix. So, you can have a couple of words strung together, but what that does is when you start talking about that, you can go into the search bar in Twitter. You have to use the hashtag, but use the hashtag and then the word or the string of words, and it'll pull up that conversation thread. And so you'll get to see all the people that are talking about that. So if you are like a hiking buff and you're talking about hiking in, one of the mountains or the Grand Canyon or something, and you start using a hashtag like that, you can go and start finding people who like the same things you like. And it's another way to build your presence and build the amount of followers that you have and build relationships. Because like we said, it's definitely a relationship platform, even though it may not look like one. A couple of things on favorites. What if somebody favorites a comment that you made on Twitter, it can mean one of 5 things. It means that they liked it. It means that they're placing a bookmark because they want to make sure they can find it later. They may be trying to get your attention. It might be a way of saying thank you, like I didn't know that, oh thanks for sharing. And then a lot of brands use it for testimonials. So there's a lot of different things a favorite can mean. So just wanted you to know that once you start seeing favorites on your dashboard. And then when you are in your dashboard, you'll notice at the top you have a home button, a connect button, discover, and then me. And if you go into the @connect, once you open that up, you see interactions and mentions. You always need to go look here. Every day go look, because there will be stuff that will populate in there that you might miss in your feed, and you may not get an email notification. It depends on how you have your settings set up. But interactions and mentions is where you see that people are favoriting your stuff. You'll see that they retweeted you. They'll see that they mentioned you, or they republished your information in a different way that's not a retweet. So you always want to go in there because you want to be able to say thank you. And then the Discover tool, very much like what we were talking about with hashtags, it is on the top row of your toolbar. And you just go into Discover, and this is where you can start looking for things. And like I said, going back to the Grand Canyon example, that would be a great idea to go cultivate people to add to your list, or to share ideas with, or to do research. I was saying earlier, I was doing research yesterday. That's how I go look for stuff. I either go look very specifically at a few people that I'll follow, or I go to a conversation thread to see what they're talking about and see what's going on and get caught up on the news of the day, so to speak. Now, a lot of people ask me, who to follow. And, it's certainly, excuse me, a personal decision. But you want to follow people that are in your niche. You also want to follow people that are not in your niche, because I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from other people in other industries. I think we tend to get in our little box and stay in our box and just do things the way we've always done them, because that's the way we've always done them. But you want to look for people in your niche, and then go look outside your niche and look for people that are in your community, people who have influence, people that are big thought leaders, people that are noteworthy, like different venues, like a Gary Vaynerchuk. You constantly using him as an example today, but he's a great example.
He's a great example.
And just follow people that you want to be like is probably the best advice that I could give, because you will learn so much.
We don't want to use Justin Bieber on this example here today, or Katy Perry. I think just passed him, so we don't want to go there.
Well, I was thinking Miley Cyrus would definitely be a no.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that would be she's on top right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't go there.
No.
And there's a couple of different ways that you can grow your flock of people that are following you. You can use it through your Facebook business page. Now, they used to have a function on Facebook, and they have hidden it, and they have hidden it so well that I can't even find it on their help section. But my business page now, it has been for a long time connected to Twitter. They have made that disappear. I spent probably 2 hours trying to find it the other day. So I don't think you can do that any longer, because when you follow the help string that's supposed to get you there, it comes up and it says the content's no longer available. But you can add your Twitter handle to your Facebook page, and you can also have Twitter feed into Facebook. Yeah. And on Facebook, Scott, I know you've taught a lot of classes about how to add multiple tabs on your pages. So you can there's actually a Twitter app that will create a page tab for your business page. And if you do that, your whole Twitter stream will be on your Facebook page on a different tab.
Yeah, cool.
And then just ask people to come over. And then, all your other platforms, I've got an image here of where you find it on LinkedIn. You just have to go in to edit your profile, and it's right at the top section where you have email addresses and so forth. It allows you to give your Twitter address. So put it there. As many places as you can connect it from your blog. If you're on Google+, connect it there, and just keep directing people of, hey, you know, I'm on Twitter, follow me there, keep up with me there, and just, you know, try to let as many people know from every platform that you're on where you are. And do that really for all your social platforms. On Twitter, tell people where you are on Facebook. So it goes both ways. And then in managing Twitter, I use a couple of different platforms. I use Hootsuite to schedule everything. And what I do is I get up every morning and I spend about 15 minutes in Hootsuite, and I schedule messages for Twitter, Facebook, and Google, or Google+. And then I come back periodically. So that takes me 15 minutes because I'm doing all the platforms. And I do not have...
And just so everybody knows, we'll do a class on Hootsuite coming up here pretty soon, because I think Hootsuite is huge for all the social media sites to be able to manage that. So we'll go there here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's had a few hiccups lately, but it's still a good platform, and it's very simple to use. So I'll schedule all my messages there. I go into Manage Flitter to clean up my Twitter account, and what I mean by that is I can unfollow people. If people are not active, I quit following them. And I can also see some analytics in there. I can see like the best time for me to tweet, or I can see my influencers in there. So there's a lot of information that can be gathered, and Peak Analytics is very much like that as well.
Okay.
You can see who your influencers are, and you can actually see how much you're influencing people. So that's a pretty cool thing. And then, Scott, are you familiar with Klout?
I am, yeah, and I don't do a whole lot with it. I did go in and put in my profiles and stuff like that, so I have not. But tell me if I should do more.
You know, I kept hearing about it, and I kind of knew what it was because people had told me what it was, and I thought, oh, that sounds kind of like something I need to know about. But I don't know what it was that kept me from going in there. Maybe I was afraid that I wouldn't have any clout. But Klout is exactly what the name says. It tells you how much clout you have with your audience. So when you go in and set up Klout, it'll pull from Twitter. It uses Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Google+, and I don't remember. I don't think LinkedIn is on there. Maybe, okay. Yeah, LinkedIn is on there. LinkedIn just doesn't update as frequently as the others. And what Klout does is it goes out there and it looks at all your networks, and it sees what you're doing, and it sees your activity. It sees your engagement level. And like we said at the beginning of this, engagement is key. You can be standing on a mountaintop shouting at the top of your lungs, but if nobody's talking back to you, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, right?
You know?
It's no when a tree falls in the woods, right?
Exactly. So Klout tells you what your engagement factor is, and it starts with a 1, and it goes up to 100. And I checked mine just the other day, and when I first logged in, and it went and aggregated all my information and gathered it and did its analytics, I had a 46, I think it was. And then the other day I'm up to 57 now. So,
okay.
And that's actually a high number. I didn't know how to judge this, you know, and so I was reading through, and, you know, if you have a 2, then you have 2 times the clout of a regular person, I suppose. So it does go up to 100, but it's a way for you to measure in a broader sense of, is what I am doing, does it matter? Does it matter?
Right.
And it's just a good question to ask yourself.
Every single time. And if it doesn't matter, then just don't do it. I mean, it's just not worth, like, throw something out there that actually matters, and you'll get more followers, you'll have more interaction, you'll have better relationships, and just yeah, it's not worth throwing stuff that doesn't matter. If it's about the other person, make it about other people. And you got to throw your own stuff in there, but there's ways to put your own stuff in there and make it about other people as well. It just takes training your mind to think that way. So follow Elizabeth, you have a course like you give to people or have for people. I noticed on the next slide there. Cool.
I do. I have a 30-day coaching program, and it's a hands-on from the standpoint of I drip on you. I'm not going to overwhelm you, and it's hand-holding, and I'll give feedback and that sort of thing, and it's to help you get up and running with Twitter. The thing is, about the relationship and what you say, quite often a lot of my quotes, because I don't want to overwhelm people, or actually, quite frankly, I don't want to bore them with mortgage stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody cares about a mortgage. They just want one.
Nobody cares. Yeah, you got to make sure that you're really doing what is. I mean, really making relationships is really what it's all about. And I've said this, and I'll say it again. It's about keeping the relationships you currently have, because when you get a lead in and you friend them on Facebook, connect with them on LinkedIn, tweet, follow them on Twitter, and start the interaction with them. Follow their Pinterest boards. They'll follow you back. It just feels good. It just feels good when that stuff is taking place back and forth between your clients. And if you, Elizabeth, I was talking about this, and I'll just take 1 minute talking about it. There's so many people that I know that spend time on Boomtown, Tiger Leads, all this really expensive stuff. But if they had a person in place spending the same money that they did on Boomtown and Tiger Leads that they did having a person do all this stuff, interaction, engagement, and building deeper relationships. Because here's the thing. If I send a tweet from my account, do you know that it's me? No. If I do a Facebook post, do you know it's me? If I do a pin, do you know it's me? No, you don't know that. So you really don't know who's doing it. You just see my face, which is really what this is all about. And again, it's getting face-to-face with people and building deep relationships so they know, like, and trust you, and they'll send you referrals of their friends, family, and coworkers. And that's what the bottom line is.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting, I started following T. Harv Eker. Are you familiar with him?
I'm not, no.
He is like a millionaire mastermind guy. He does seminars all over the country. He's written several books. And the only thing he ever tweets are quotes. And he tweets all day long. But you know what? I cannot tell you how many quotes that he's tweeted that hit me. It's like, he was talking to me today. I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know what to say, if you feel like you're out of stuff, or it's like, oh, okay, she said not to talk about my listings all the time. Or,
what is his name? What was his name again? Everybody missed that?
T. Harv Eker.
Harv Eker. Okay.
Yeah, he's T_Harv_Eker, I think. And I think it's spelled E-K-E-R or E-C-K-E-R. He's written several books.
Excellent. T. Harv Eker, cool.
I just highly recommend, because like I said, you don't know where your people are along their journey on any given day. Somebody may be having an absolutely rotten day.
Yeah. And
you send the right message, the right quote, the right piece of encouragement. And it doesn't have to be a quote. It can just be something from your heart.
Sure.
But if you encourage people and you're optimistic, that doesn't mean you have to be a cheerleader. But I just think that people really do appreciate that, and they respond to that.
Let me just
so that would be something that I would be sure to weave in.
Millionaire Mind events, is that T. Harv Eker? Okay, so hey, do you mind if I just snag the screen from you for
Absolutely.
1 second? Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to snag the screen really quick from everybody. If you're joining us for the first time, T. Harv Eker, here it is right here. I'm just going to get this PowerPoint out of the way. I was kind of following along with her. Get this out of the way. So here's T. Harv Eker. That's how the correct spelling of it, I believe. T-H-A-R-V so it's T_Harv_Eker.
Yes, on Twitter, that's his.
That's his Twitter handle. So that's him. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, we are on Facebook. Facebook.com/groups/Agent Mastermind. If you're joining us, that's where we all hang out. There's over 2,000 people there. agents from all across the U.S., every single state. If you have a question, or here's what I would love to have happen. I know you were kind enough to answer questions on Twitter, but if you have a question, can we go to the Facebook group or Twitter, whichever? I'm going to be following it all day too as well because I love this stuff. But if you could ask the question on the Facebook group as well, because we have 2,000 people there. So, and I'm sure that other people will have the same exact question. So we can kind of all collaborate there. And what I might do, Elizabeth, is if I see something on Twitter, what I might do is pull it off of Twitter, put it on the Facebook group, just to keep the interaction going and let people know that they can ask questions there as well. Because I think
that's great.
There's less people on Twitter than there is on Facebook. So right now after today that might change, and as we go along, I'm going to really be talking Twitter because I think it's the way of the future. A couple people brought up about younger kids. Well, that's exactly why I brought that up. Is the younger kids are the new generation, and I think you're going to see more and more. Everybody thought Facebook was going to be a fad, wasn't going to be around, and you look at it now, and look at Twitter just went public last week. It's just crazy, crazy stuff. So I want to go back to one of the slides you brought that has done me so much is Manage Flitter. I love this thing. Here's my recommendation, something we didn't cover, is go in there. Don't follow people that don't tweet on a regular basis. It's just not worth it. Clean them out, okay? It's not doing you any good. There's nothing to follow. They're not interacting, engaging. Here's another thing that I found out, Elizabeth, is a lot of people were following me, and they were constantly putting up tweets like all times of the day and all times of the night. And I just had a feeling that it was automated, which you can automate this. So I would go in and send them a private message with no response. I just unfollow those people. What would you say on something like that?
Well, I guess it depends on, I think a lot of highly successful people, I would say all the highly successful people are automating their messages, but what they are doing, and this is what I would coach everybody to do, is automate the crap out of it, but show up.
But make sure you show up.
You've got to show up, and you've got to respond and engage.
Yes, show up. Show up is answer the phone. It really is what it boils down to. Because if someone tweets you or follows you, you got to acknowledge that and you got to interact with that. So awesome, awesome, awesome. So if you're joining us for the first time, facebook.com/groups/agent mastermind. If you want to follow one of the recommendations, of course, let me just throw up here where to follow wonderful Elizabeth Rose. That is her Twitter handle, @1Elizabeth Rose. So make sure and say thanks if you can on Twitter. If you have a Twitter account, say thanks to her on Twitter if you would, please. And then also, I lost my train of thought here. If you have any questions, go to our Facebook group or tweet Elizabeth @1Elizabeth Rose. And I just appreciate you guys. And I so love doing this. So anything that we can do to help you guys, go to the Facebook group and ask us. Or, of course, tweet it out. Put my name in there. I'm Scott Hudspeth, MI from Michigan. You can follow me there, tweet me there, and I'm more than happy to help you there. If you would like a copy of this PowerPoint and recording, get with the loan professional that sent you here. And next week, real quick, we're going to have a gentleman on the call with us that specializes in branding. He's got something new to talk about. We're going to bring Facebook back, I think, really quick, but he's got something new that Facebook did for the real estate business that I think it's very important, and he knows way more about it than I do, and I'm going to have him come back to talk about that. So, all right, guys, thanks so much. Elizabeth, you're awesome. I appreciate your wisdom.
Thank you, Scott.
On Twitter, and awesome. Keep growing like you're growing, and we'll see you guys next week right here on Agent Mastermind. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.